Released 2.5 years ago, iPad mini 5, when original launched, presented pretty good value for an iPad. I mean, at that time you were getting the newest processor, very good specs, laminated display, Apple Pencil support for the first time, and it was the best value iPad in the year of 2019 in my opinion. But the problems started arising when new iPads were launching and the iPad mini remained at the same exact price point with still the old design, with still getting a little bit older specs, and the value was decreasing more and more. With that circumstances around us, we needed a new iPad. We were speculating about it for a very long time, about iPad with complete redesign, with slimmer bezels, iPad Pro look. And guess what? Now in 2021 we finally got one. But that does mean that iPad mini 5 is completely useless and outdated? Well, the thing is that this device was still being sold like a month ago, and it was still being sold for 400 bucks, and I didn't actually know what to tell people, whether to wait, whether not to wait, since iPad mini 6 was quite a bit of surprise. We weren't really expecting that one to launch on Apple's September event, but it did, and it's pretty good for the iPad mini. And the reason for that is that there is no more doubt whether you should get Mini 5 or not. If you want that iPad, if you feel like this is a capable device, and why you may think that way, well, I'll talk about that for a while, but if you still think that this is a capable device, that you wanna get it, now you do have finally that capability, since the prices will go down, will be dropping even more and more, and this iPad remains a very solid pick, provided it's for a cheap price. And you know, iPad mini 6 is great, it's a complete redesign, it's overall way better product, so if you have all the money in the world, this is the iPad for you. But maybe it's a bit of an overkill, maybe $500 is a little bit of too much, and let's say you wanna pay twice less price for that and you still wanna have that iPad mini form factor, you wanna have some of those capabilities. So the question is, will iPad mini 5 still do? Well, let's find out. And the first thing about iPad mini 5 is the fact that you still have what iPad mini 6 has, which is the newest software, the software support that you're gonna be getting for a very long time. I mean, if you actually think about it, iPad Air from 2014 is still being supported, and this device is from 2019, so it's still gonna be getting tons of software updates left. And sure, it's not gonna be supported as long as iPad mini 6, but for the price that you can pick this device right now, this is a very solid option when it comes to the longevity. It's not gonna like get outdated 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. It's gonna be supported for a couple of very solid years. And that A12 Bionic, even though it's getting a little bit older, you know, Apple no longer sells products with A12, but it still supports the newest iPadOS 15 functions. Like, this is the processor that is very popular among Apple devices, like iPhone XS, iPad 8, iPad mini 5, iPhone XR. Very capable processor that still gives you that newest iPad OS features, including live text that you don't have, for example, on iPad 7 with A10, which is a newer device. So like, you know, it still provides a tons of capabilities for what you can have. And when it comes to the display, actually this will surprise you, even though as you can see the bezels are all roundy here and big, you have that big home button, so you know the design is outdated, but the screen is not. On paper, it's pretty much identical display to the one you have on iPad mini 6. Like, think about it, still the same brightness, the same P3 color support, the same sharp resolution, it's just the screen is a little bit smaller here, and screen to body ratio is way worse, of course, but like the overall screen technology is still pretty much identical, so it's gonna still give you a very nice display with that True Tone capabilities, very decent colors, very decent sharpness. So if you're interested in that mini form factor, you are not really losing anything, to be honest with you. On top of that, despite that home button, you still have gesture support with iPad mini 5 like you would have on iPad mini 6. It's just the fact that here you can choose whether you use more home button to navigate around the system, or maybe gestures like you would on iPad Pro or iPad mini 6. When it comes to the cameras, of course they are not as capable. You don't have center stage, you don't have USB-C, you have a little bit less RAM. It's overall less capable device, don't get me wrong. I mean, the speakers come only from one side, so definitely you lose some of the capabilities you have with iPad mini 6. And if you decide to buy this device used, there is a possibility that the battery is gonna be degraded, so overall the battery life may not be as great. But if you decide to pick this iPad up with solid battery health, maybe some refurbished, maybe from some friend you know that has been treating it pretty gently, it's gonna have a very solid battery life, so no downsides when it comes to that. You also have Apple Pencil support. I mean, this is the first generation, of course, but it's still very capable. I mean, hey, I'm using also an iPad Pro, and yeah, the Apple Pencil second generation overall has more capabilities. I mean, the magnetic charging is pretty cool and convenient, but like, this is not a bad stylus. I don't know, like, there's so much like criticism on that. Some people say that it doesn't have magnetic charging, you gotta charge it like this awkward unicorn or whatever, but like, the truth is, the experience is great. I mean, the latency is very low, the overall writing here, it's like a very small notebook that you can be using and, you know, literally joining notes with one hand. So it's still very convenient, and I have no problems with the fact that this is Apple Pencil first generation instead the second. So yeah, I'm pretty fine with that. On top of that, you have headphone jack because this is the older design. I mean, I actually don't know who really cares about that. I certainly do not. But like, hey, you do have that capability. So, you know, that is something. Also, what you need to know about iPad mini 5 is that iPad mini 6 didn't suddenly turn this device into like some crap. Like, it's still a very functional iPad. Remember that A12 has capabilities. The display didn't suddenly get old. It's still very solid. I mean, not as solid as you have on iPad Pro or some newer iPads, but it's a very good laminated display. The design is older, there is definitely less power, but it's still a very capable device. The software support is not gonna be as long as you have on Mini 6. Cameras are not as capable, speakers are not as capable, you don't have USB-C. But when it comes to the core iPad mini experience, you have it all. The speed is still pretty solid, the OS support is here, you have Apple Pencil capability, you have all of the new features with iPad OS 15, you get still tons of support left. So overall, iPad mini 5, if you think that mini 6 is an overkill for you, if you think that maybe that's not necessarily the case since the price is just too much for you, the mini 5 is still an option. I mean, as I said, it's not the best iPad you can buy right now, but it's a very solid device. If you can buy for a reasonable price, for a cheaper price, then definitely this device is gonna serve you for reading, for maybe some watching on the go. I love thumb typing on this device. It's very convenient, it's very light, the battery life is still great. As I said, watching some videos very decent, and if you have some AirPods to that, you are not gonna really care about the speakers whatsoever. The connection is pretty good. So overall, very capable product, and if you think that you don't necessarily need Mini 6, the older iPad mini is still a very solid alternative. And if you still have doubts, make sure to watch my video about iPad mini 5 versus iPad mini 6, which is gonna drop pretty soon, or it has already dropped. I have to figure that out yet. And if you have any questions about iPad mini 5 in particular that I didn't answer in this video, make sure to ask me in the comments, I'll gladly help you. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to press the like button. And if you like what you see here, make sure to stay here for a while by subscribing, and hopefully, until next time.